Hello everybody, this is Eric Virathaler of Virathaler Studios here once again. So I made videos leading up to the first movie and then eventually reviewed the first movie. And I did videos leading up to the second movie. So it makes sense for me to do a review of Winnie the Pooh, Blood and Honey 2. So, what are my thoughts? I'm going to be honest, while trying to be as professional as I can. So I hope I find that balance with this review. So the first movie had a very interesting concept, taking a children's property and turning it completely upside down. It was done before with Pinocchio's Revenge, but I got a lot more mainstream attention with Winnie the Pooh, Blood and Honey. Where it really started off like a new trend in the movie industry. Like, the 80s was the dawn of the slasher movies. The 90s was the self-aware horror movies. Beginning of like the early to late 2000s was either the remake craze or the torture porn. And then early 2010s, it was the found footage movies. And then it seemed to be legacy sequels and during the late 2010s. And now it seems that we're in a new era of children's icons being turned into horror movies. So, it's just continuing on with new trends. And I went in extremely curious about Winnie the Pooh, Blood and Honey. Because it was just very interesting to take such an innocent and beloved character and franchise and turning it completely upside down. And I went to see the original movie in theaters. It was the day after Valentine's Day. Ironic that they released it at that time, but that's besides the point. And the actors were not the problem with the original Winnie the Pooh, Blood and Honey. Absolutely not. I actually have interviewed Craig David Dowsett, who played Winnie the Pooh in the original Blood and Honey, and I interviewed Nikolai Leon, who played Christopher Robin in Blood and Honey. I thought that they were very, very cool people. They were very nice. I enjoyed talking to them. Me and Nikolai actually still keep in touch to this very day. So yeah, I am definitely very happy for them and for the other people involved that they were involved with the movie that helped to get their name out there. Regardless what you think about the quality or not. Now look, I understand making movies is a lot of work, and a lot of times when you make a movie, you make mistakes. I've said this before on my channel, and I'll say this again. I made a lot of mistakes when I made my first feature-length film with Things That Pissed Me Off, Dinosaur Deniers, the movie. I made a lot of mistakes left and right. And if I were to be honest, Reese Frank Waterfield did make some mistakes with the original movie. An example is that with the final girl in Blood and Honey 1, they were trying to give her that tragic backstory with how she with like that stalker, but it doesn't really go anywhere. And I feel like that arc was wasted in Blood and Honey 1. And a lot of the characters were pointless. Like a lot of those girls like who ended up being killed in the movie, I felt like they were really pointless characters. Like there was nothing to them. It's nothing personal against the actresses themselves. It's just that the script, I feel like, could have used some tweaking. And I feel like that it could have taken advantage more of the Winnie the Pooh lore. Like, Christopher Robin really wasn't in Blood and Honey 1 all that much. But it is better than what we originally were going to get. According to Nikolai, originally, during the opening scene, that was going to be it with Christopher Robin. They were just going to kill him off during the beginning. So, at least what we got in the final product is better than what we originally were going to get. But a big problem with the script of the original Blood and Honey is that it felt like a first draft. And it took itself way too seriously when it's a Winnie the Pooh horror movie. I mean, even just saying that sentence out loud, it makes me just want to laugh. And the lighting was a big problem. During a lot of scenes in the original Blood and Honey, I couldn't tell what was going on. And Rabbit and Owl were in that animated intro. But then afterwards, they just completely disappear from the movie. So yeah, it seemed like a lot of the issues was the script. Now, with all that said, I will say that Winnie the Pooh, Blood and Honey, even though that I already knew what public domain was before the movie came out, but it definitely got me thinking a lot more about public domain. I mean, it got me to think of the idea for let's watch a movie on my channel. And some of the other ideas that I had, it really got me to think about, how to take advantage of the public domain. It's there for a reason. So, I want to make myself clear. I do not know Reese Frank Waterfield on a personal level. I do not. So, I'm just gathering the available information that I do have. From what I heard when the original movie came out, he was, he would shrug off any constructive criticism for the movie. He wouldn't listen to it. So I don't know how true that is. Now, if it is true, no one's perfect. We all have our flaws. But from what it appears, now again, I'm just judging this off of the available information that I have. It seems like Reese Frank Waterfield, as of recent, has been willing to learn from his mistakes of the original movie. Similar to what happened with me in my first movie. Then when I made my second movie, I listened to the criticisms and I used that to make the following movie even better. From what I have seen, Reese Frank Waterfield has done interviews with people who gave the first Blood and Honey a bad review on YouTube. He was nice to them. Interpret that how you want. And I'm almost 10 minutes in, but sorry. There's just a lot that I want to get off my chest when I talk about this movie. So, it seems like he has been willing to learn from his mistakes from the original movie. This time, he's not writing the script. Instead, it was some other guy. I think it's Matt Leslie who wrote Summer of '84. I have not seen Summer of '84, but it's been regarded as a pretty good movie as far as I can tell. I've also heard the counter argument, oh yeah, well, Reese Frank Waterfield is still directing it. Yes, but has he learned from his mistakes? I mean, No one's perfect. I sure as heck as I'm. I sure am not a perfect person either. I mean, heck, I'm already 10 minutes into my review. Excuse me. So, I saw the movie. I saw Blood and Honey 2. And I will say this. As honestly and proficiently as I possibly can, this is an improvement over the original movie. The story is a huge improvement over the original movie. This time, there's no throwaway characters. There's no pointless arcs. Now, yes, the original movie did have some characters do some stupid things, like case in point, that one girl in the hot tub. The opening scene did have some characters do some stupid things. But overall, the story is a huge improvement. This time, Christopher Robin actually is the main focus. That right there is automatically one of the things that hugely improves this over the original. Because that's what they should have done in the first movie, in the first place. I do not know why that they thought, oh, just kill Christopher Robin in the opening scene. Like, why? What's the point? And Nikolai Leon, Craig David Dowsett, Chris Cordet, I believe his name is, who played Piglet in the original movie. None of them come back. I was questioning why that they did not come back for this movie. But after seeing the movie, I think I now know why. It's because that it retcons the original movie while it doesn't. What do I mean by that? So, they go with the Scream approach. Like how in the Scream sequels, there was the movie Stab that was based off of the events of the original Scream. They do that here. So, the original Blood and Honey is now just a movie within a movie. That, I think, was a smart way to explain away the character redesigns. Because that was something going into the movie. I was like, okay, how are they going to explain the character redesigns, or are they just going to ignore it? I mean, to be fair, in a lot of the Friday the 13th and Nightmare on Elm Street movies, Freddy and Jason constantly changed their looks throughout their movies, and they never address it. So I thought maybe it was going to be a case like that, but no, but they actually have an explanation for it. Which does beg the question, okay, the real life Christopher Robin, like say in Blood and Honey 2, why would he give the okay for them to make that movie? I'm by no means an expert on that, but wouldn't, like say if, for argument's sakes, if they're going to make a movie about me, wouldn't I have to give the filmmakers like the okay or the license to make a movie about my life? I'm by no means an expert on that. Maybe somebody in the comments down below can let me know. So yeah, the character designs are a huge improvement over the original movie. I mean, of course, they have a bigger budget this time. And this time it seems to be that they didn't take themselves as seriously. Like Winnie the Pooh holding a flaming chainsaw. And with some of the lines in this movie, I don't feel like they were taking themselves as seriously. And that's good. But if somebody were to say that they still feel like they're taking themselves too seriously, I can understand why that you would think that way. But the way how I interpret it with the flaming chainsaw and some of the other things in this movie, I really don't think that they're taking themselves too seriously this time. And the lighting also was a huge improvement. Although there were some scenes here and there where it still was too dark to tell what was going on. But at least it's not as bad as in the original movie. Now, the one who stole the entire show to me was Louis Santer as Tigger. He was great. And he really reminded me a lot of Freddy Krueger. And then only find out from research that that's what was their inspiration. So, if you're expecting Tigger to do the bouncing on the tail, well, that's not going to happen. Well, that did not happen in this movie, mostly because of copyright. Tigger in the book, in his first book appearance, I believe it's called House on Pooh Corner, he did bounce, but not on his tail. The bouncing on the tail is something that Disney did. So, with that said, Scott Chambers did an excellent job acting as Christopher Robin. The acting was pretty decent in this, minus a few takes here and there of some of the child actors were pretty bad. But the kills were cool. I definitely like Pooh's signature weapon in this with the bear trap. I mean, it makes sense that he's going to use a bear trap. Now, there are problems with this movie. So, look, I get it. Reese Frank Waterfield's a fan of horror movies. And then he said that he wanted Piglet to be like Leatherface and Winnie the Pooh to be like Michael Myers. I feel like that was a mistake to make Winnie the Pooh like Michael Myers, to have him not really talk a whole lot. Because Winnie the Pooh is not Michael Myers. Winnie the Pooh talks and he has a personality. What I think he should have done is take Pooh's personality in the book, since that's what he legally can do, and get more creative with that. With, okay, how can he turn that upside down and make it into more horror themed? That I feel like was a mistake on his end. A lot of the characters like Winnie the Pooh, Owl, and Tigger get their time to shine, but Piglet doesn't. Piglet, I feel like, was completely wasted in this movie. Completely wasted. And it's a shame. I mean, he barely has any lines. He's not really in the movie a whole lot. And there might be a few unintentionally funny moments. I don't know if they were intended to be funny. There was this scene with Owl that I don't know if it was intended to be funny or not, but people in my theater were laughing at it. The music seemed to have been better this time around. A few pacing issues here and there. And this is still low budget. Sometimes there's some CGI blood that doesn't look the best. Tigger's tail is CGI. In some shots, it looks pretty decent. But in some shots, it looks like PS1 level graphics, and it sticks out like a sore thumb. And some continuity issues, like there's this scene where some characters are watching the original Blood and Honey. Since I've seen the original Blood and Honey, it's just with how the scenes, it's like, okay, so like they show a scene from like the very end, then it cuts to like the second act. It's like, okay, that doesn't make any sense. So continuity wise, that's all over the place, and that was an issue that I noticed. But yeah, overall, this is an improvement over the original movie. It still has some issues. One thing that I noticed, spoilers. I'm going to hold up this remote when I talk about this spoiler. And then when I put the remote down, then I won't be talking about the spoiler anymore. So, the famous catchphrase, oh bother, said by Winnie the Pooh comes from the Disney version. And in this, at the very end, Pooh actually does say, "Oh, bother." I'm pretty sure he said, "Oh, bother." I was thinking, wait, how did they get away with that? Because that's something Disney has done with the character. So they can get sued to have Winnie the Pooh say, "Oh, bother," because that infringes on Disney's copyright. Unless if they did some sort of mental gymnastics to get away with that. But yeah, how did they get away with that? And I definitely do like how the characters have personality to them. Like Owl's the voice of reason. Tigger likes to play with his victims. But Pooh, I felt like his character could have used a few tweaking. Like, yeah, he's really strong in the movie. But I felt like with him not talking, that's too much like Michael Myers. And besides, if this is a follow-up to the original movie, even though the first movie is now a movie within a movie, Pooh and the gang. So this means that the events of the first movie still happened, but they just made a movie about those events. So Winnie and the rest of the gang vowed to never talk ever again, but then Winnie broke that vow by speaking at the very end of Blood and Honey by saying to Christopher Robin, "You left." So with that in mind, there really should have been no reason, continuity-wise, why Pooh is still silent, for the most part. So that was a gripe that I had. Overall, like I said, this is a huge improvement over the original movie. Still not perfect. I know that this has a 100% on Rotten Tomatoes. I mean, to be fair, only few reviews have come in. So I don't think it's going to stay that way forever, unless if I'm proven otherwise. So, spoiler. Christopher Robin kills Pooh at the end. I was surprised about that because I was like, okay, if they're setting up the cinematic universe, how are they going to continue to have the Pooh-niverse without Winnie the Pooh? There was this mid-credit scene where Owl is seen reviving Pooh and Piglet. Yeah, Owl is the more intelligent one, the voice of reason, albeit a more twisted version. And you can slowly see Piglet's head start to regenerate. So I can't help but think, hey, how is Owl going to do that? But, obviously have to wait for a future movie. So those are my thoughts on Winnie the Pooh, Blood and Honey 2. I would give this movie maybe like a 6 or a 6.5 out of 10. Huge improvement, a much, much better script, better story, and better production value, better character designs. Still a few flaws here and there. Those are my thoughts. I don't want to make this video too long. Sorry that this is almost like I'm now 24 minutes in. It's almost half an hour long. Sorry, but there was just a lot I wanted to get off of my chest with this movie. So Reese has been talking about doing a Blood and Honey 3. Let's hope that he will continue to learn from his mistakes with this movie. You all have a nice day. Thank you all for watching.